Hello, welcome to this little talk between Grandmaster Brian Zawilinski from the States and myself, Grandmaster Datu Dieter Knüttel. Our friendship goes back more than 25 years, back to 1997 or 96 at the summer camp of Grandmaster Remy Prezes in Mount Holyoke. That's where we first met and sort of liked each other from the beginning, and the connection never really stopped. Right. Now we were fortunate enough to have had you here on the DFW summer camp that has just been finished. I think it's your 7th time in Germany.
At least.
And you've been at least 4 times at the DFW, at the Best of the West, of the East meets West. And we had a joint seminar together, and now the summer camp. Can you tell me a little bit about the experiences that you had at the summer camp?
Wonderful. The facility itself was very modern, very spacious, well equipped, multiple areas to train both indoors and outdoors. I know that it's a little bit of a drive for some folks, but I think it was well worth it. The rooms were very comfortable. The dining was very good. I don't think I lost any weight because the food was that good.
Yeah.
I know this is about your 7th time at this location.
Yes.
And I can see why.
Yes.
We typically don't have a sports facility such as this in the States. We would need to rent out a university, which would have all of the accommodations. But this was specifically a sports training facility in, how do you say, Karlsruhe?
Karlsruhe, yes.
Karlsruhe.
It was from the German Soccer Association. It's very, very professionally run, has about 160 beds and 5-6 huge halls and a swimming pool where you can drop and lift the ground, and in one soccer hall you can open the roof, and 4 outdoor soccer, or 3 or 4 big outdoor soccer fields, lots of trees around so you can train in the sun and in the shade. And yeah, it's we found our home. It was our 17th camp since 1989. It was the first time. And once we found that, we don't want to leave because we think it's just about ideal.
And the Puma cage.
And the Puma cage.
This is an indoor basketball court with glass walls down the sides. It's just a little warmer than normal because of the glass, but it was much appreciated. Well, we had very little rain, but it was a nice place to hold the black belt testing, which we'll talk about later. Wonderful facility.
And if dozens of people or 50 or 100 people train hard, sweat a lot, then that's what we call in Germany a Puma cage, because that's what it smells. But sometimes quite affectionately.
Yeah. So the facility was wonderful. I can see why they use it and why they're staying there. They literally handed Sven the keys and said, just do what you have to do. And there was also a small pub in one of the buildings, which we all joined after hours, most nights, and just enjoyed each other for a few hours. Yes. And if you know anything about Professor Prezes, that socializing or that bonding was very important to him. Yeah. So everything we needed was right there. We left once on the first night for a nice dinner in town. But
actually, that was before the camp. The camp only started
right.
Monday, right?
That's true. But even before the camp, which technically started Monday morning. We went out for dinner, about 20 of us, and that waiter was feisty. We asked for an English menu, and he said, what do you need English menu for? Pizza is pizza, pasta is pasta. You'll be fine. Oh, okay.
He made the evening. he made the evening.
But he was great. Yeah. He took very good care of us. So.
Yeah. Anyway, usually we have the last 5-6 summer camps we had. We do it every 2nd year, so it's our 17th since 1989. We had 180 to 200 participants, because they are day visitors or visitors that sleep in tents or in other bedrooms and other hotels. So 160 on the facility and some visitors. Now COVID did hit the DFW as well, so this time we were 140, 145, which is quite 50 people short. But that didn't break our spirit, because I think the mood was quite fantastic. Everybody enjoyed themselves with It's a camp from Monday morning on lunchtime till Sunday after breakfast, and you didn't hear one single bad word. Nobody was angry with anybody. We had about 15 instructors. Everybody came along with everybody. That's what's normal, and that's just makes it so enjoyable.
It does, and it was completely enjoyable. I've been to many camps over the years, to include with Professor. I had been with him almost 20 years, and the spirit and the energy here was just wonderful. It really was.
So,
and this is longer. Normally, a camp with Professor was only 4 days.
Yeah.
This was 6, and the energy never stopped.
Yeah.
And you know, there were certain events that had to take place. There was a DAV meeting. The black belt testing was several hours, and there was one other thing. But it broke up the training schedule, but it gave everybody a break. But even during the DAV meeting, which was only attended by, say, 20 or 30 people, there were still people training in little pockets throughout the campus.
Yeah, and if we as examiners had a big exam, other instructors would take over and teach for whoever would like to be taught. So we had, I think, 26 or 28 training sessions of 1.5 hours or 80 minutes each. So there was a lot of training, but there was also a lot of time for socializing, coming together, talking, which is almost as important.
Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful.
Now, as I said, you had several experiences with the DFW already. What do you think about the instructors, the masters and the grandmasters of the DFW?
Well, this was my first time teaching with them, compared to usually Dieter and I teach along with other masters, grandmasters from across the globe. But I got to spend 6 days teaching alongside and watching the DAV senior masters, grandmasters, and masters. And I had so much fun, not just teaching. My schedule was kept a little lighter. I taught 10 sessions, but that allowed me the freedom to go around and participate in or observe the other instructors. So Sven and Ingo and Karsten and Hans and Jorgen and Benedict, Andre,
Marcus.
Peter. Those were the core group, but then also several others.
Yeah.
Simone,
Yeah.
Michael, the other female, Carola. Many instructors.
Yeah.
So I really got a chance, although I've trained at the Best of the West and the East Meets West with them, now I really got to spend some quality time with them. And it was very enjoyable because we were trained differently. I had the luxury of training directly with the professor, as well as my original instructor, Professor Lowry. And along the way, many other fellow veteran Arnis instructors. But these instructors had their exposure, some with Professor themselves for a few years, but then under Ernesto, as well as Datu Dieter. So we said the same words the whole week. It's the same, but it's different. My lineage was taking what Professor gave us, and I had to make it work given my occupation. As to where many of the DAV instructors took the basics or the initial technique and made extensions from them. And this was my first time, a quality amount of time being exposed to this. And I think my first review was halfway through the camp. I was like a little kid in a candy shop. Went over here, watched this one, saw something else, ran over here, watched that one, went over here. It was, the time flew by. And it was either my teaching or getting to watch the other instructors or even jumping in their classes and trying some of their extensions or their drills. And very, very informative. And I never realized how big of a difference there would be between this summer camp and one of the events. You know, when Dieter hosted the Best of the West or East Meets West, over 200 people for 3 days. It's all training. Get in, get done, get out, and basically it's over. But this was 140-ish over 6 full days.
Yeah.
And slower pace, much more quality time. And I really got to see a side of the instructors that I had never seen before. and it was very informative, and it was nice to see the art. They took the art and they made it their own. And in many conversations with Dieter throughout the week, he said, you know, right now there are 6 or 7 instructors teaching, and Dieter taught almost all the time.
Yeah.
And he said, right now I don't know necessarily what any of them are doing because they have their own innovations.
Yes.
And that was like, all right, you know what, I gotta go. I got things to watch and people to see, you know, see you later. I'll see you at lunch or dinner, you know, and half the time he didn't know where I was. It's because I'm out like a little kid running around and enjoying, you know. It was wonderful.
And I mean, managing 140 or in normal camp 180 to 200 people, we don't want to have one big class because it's we don't like that. So usually we have, and also in this camp we had 6 to 7 classes simultaneously. So we had 26 or 29 80-minute lessons, each filled 6 or 7 with 6 or 7 instructors. So the students could choose from whoever they wanted. Some was only for black belts, some were color graders, many things were open, so that we also taught in different levels. Yeah, that's also, we usually, this time I think there was 7 or 8 countries, usually we have 10, 12 countries, COVID, and also had quite a few Americans over to share that, because I know it's a long trip, but it's a week training, and for the price I think we charge something like 550 or 600 euro, which is what in dollar? 650?
Add 10%, so if it's 600 euro, it's 660 American.
Yeah, that includes
well worth it.
Training, accommodation, and food. Everything included in this package price, and we do it every 2 years. So August, mid of August next 2025. Watch out, have a look for it.
Well worth it.
Yeah. So you talked already that the topics that we taught, sometimes you see the basics that, or the core where it comes from, but then the instructors like Jörn and the locking or Ingo, or you know, it takes it to places where you haven't been before.
And that's very well said, because some of the topics, just a couple words, you know, on the schedule, what so the students can look at the schedule and see who's teaching what, and even a couple of the topics I'm looking at, Master Karsten did some Arnis in the pool near the end. And I was teaching during that time, because you can bet I would have been in the pool. But they were doing Arnis in the water. Yeah. But many different innovations, locking, different aspects of the tappy-tappy. Some knife work. I think you did a session on car defense. Yeah. I think Jorgen did a session on the travel wrench from Datu Kelly. Hans, I'm sorry. That's right, because he handed it back to Jorgen. So many different topics, and 26, 28 topics throughout the week.
No, 26 lessons times 6 to 7 topics.
Right. That's right.
6 to 7 topics per lesson.
Oh my God, you're right. That's how many sessions there were.
Do the math.
Yeah, a lot. That's even a quick math is 130 plus choices throughout the week. Yeah. I wouldn't have known what to do if I had that schedule in front of me and had all these topics.
That's the good part for the participants. 2 years from now, they can choose again and take some other lessons.
You know, and maybe, I don't remember, say it was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, Dieter said, I need your topics for the camp. And I'm like, why? I'll change my mind constantly between now and then. He goes, you don't understand. I need them now because it's going on the schedule. I'm like, no. I'll forget what I say or what it means in 2 months.
You can read it on the schedule.
And I did. I had to keep it with me. My schedule was in English, thank you, by the way. And I'm like, all right, this is what I said I'm teaching. And I'm looking at it like, I'm not sure what I meant when I wrote that, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But what happens, everybody who registers gets about 4 weeks ahead, they get the full schedule so that they can plan their summer camp. I think there were not 2 people who did the same summer camp, because you can choose. You can choose a real wider range of possibilities.
Oh my God, it was amazing. I even had a couple of, in the nicest way, defectors. They wanted to watch class, but they either didn't have the rank or the skill, and they said, you know, Brian, can we come and watch? I said, it's my class. I don't mind you coming and watching, but if somebody comes and tells you to leave, I said, this is my first summer camp. I haven't read the rule book. So you can come and watch unless you get thrown out.
There is no real rule book, but when we do something from black belt on,
Yeah.
that either says that we think it's potentially pretty dangerous if you make mistakes, and on the other hand, sometimes the drills build up on skills that you should have, on knowledge that you have to have on a drill, where you then add on, then it doesn't make sense to have a yellow or a green belt there who doesn't know the drill, doesn't have the skills, because that just holds back the black belts. And we had 55, 60 black belts on the camp, so almost half of the people were black belts. Now we had an exam. We did,
and one more note.
Yes.
There were also any underbelt classes I taught. I tried to divide up my 10 classes where I catered to each beginners, intermediate, and black belts. And I'm a big fan of making sure that we touch base with all of them. But almost all of my underbelt classes had some black belts. They humbled themselves to say, you know what, I'm going to do this class. And they came and had a great time. Even Ingo showed up several times, and it was wonderful.
It's not about humbling yourself. That topic is interesting. No matter, it's open for everybody, for green belt, or and the master is good, the instructor is good. So there might be beginners and up to, and Ingo 7th dan, just so freshly, yes.
Yeah, that was a wonderful surprise for him and Sven.
Yes.
And Andre.
Yes. So we promoted Sven Barchfeld, or Ingo Hutschenreuter and Sven Barchfeld from 6th to 7th dan, or degree black belts, and they have both 30 to 35 years of Arnis under the belts and continuously teaching. Yeah. Well deserved.
Absolutely.
Now, the exams.
The exam, I spent most of my time in the black belt examination. This was the second time I had the opportunity to watch. I watched another full examination back in 2012. And 3 full hours, very busy the whole time. I did leave and walked a short distance over to the underbelt testing just to watch for a little while. That was being run by Benedict. But most of my time was spent in the black belt testing. Anywhere from,
we had 7 people for first degree, 10 for second, 7 for third, 4 for fourth, and 4 for fifth.
Yeah.
So we're 32, I think.
30-something, yeah. Overwhelming numbers. But I tried to take in a little bit of everything. They literally worked for 3 hours straight. And if there's something needed to be seen again, so be it. Hardly any breaks. They pushed.
We had 2 or 3 border breaks in between, yeah. And we had 2 commissions. One commission with three master instructors and master examiners had the first and second dan, and 4 masters and grandmasters had the third, fourth, fifth dan.
The skill was obvious. I had witnessed it in 2012. I walked the entire length of the floor with Dan Anderson, and we just took in a little bit of each area that was testing. But it literally spanned anywhere from black belt all the way up to usually fifth. And you could see the skill and the interpretation getting better and better, as well it should. But it's a rare treat to see several of each rank, or representation, people testing for each of these levels. But due to the sheer numbers, roughly what size is DAV now, member-wise?
After COVID, we're sort of going back to 12, 13, 1400 into that direction, with about 60 to 70 different groups within Germany. And we do have satellites around in other countries, like in France, Austria, Switzerland, Hungary, Czech Republic, and so on.
The numbers are staggering. They're down to 12 or 1300. But when that testing takes place, it's really a lot of fun to be able to watch all these different levels, including the underbelt testing. But all the way up to and including 5th degree is a real treat. And to see the progression, and I don't try to look at, okay, this one's testing for this or this. I look at the skill level and how relaxed they are, and what they're doing and what their extensions or variations are. I try not to focus on this group is second or going for third. It's to see what they're actually doing. And it's a real unique opportunity to see it all laid out in front of you, all at the same time. Because a video won't do it justice.
No.
It's all right there in one big frame in front of you. So that was a real treat. It really was.
Thank you. Thanks for being there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was an honor for us to have had you on the camp. And you were at the Best of the West, there where we had 4 American instructors and myself teaching, 200 people. A few years later, we had East Meets West. We had Grandmaster Bambi Dulai and Grandmaster Rida Dogorg, together with yourself and another American master, and myself. And we, already at that time, we talked, couldn't that format be transferred to the States? And now again, after the summer camp, do you think it's possible to do something like the summer camp or something like the Best of the West, East Meets West, back in the States? Because that's, I mean, Remy was in the States for 20, 25 years of his life, so there's potential.
There was, and I think you saw more than I did, because you said, is this possible? I'm like, maybe, maybe not.
Yes, you were hesitating for 10 years.
And, you know, in America, no one can tell you how many people practice Arnis in America. It's just not possible. Too big, too spread out, too many groups, some larger than others, be it an association or an organization or a club or just folks traveling and teaching. There's so many different models or ways people are spreading Arnis.
Yeah. Especially Modern Arnis. I mean, there are many different FMA styles here in Germany as well, and a few different Modern Arnis groups as well. But our numbers were purely one organization, the DFW. And Amos Brian just talks about, you know, the different first generation students of Remy who took the art and made them themselves, and just do what we did. But Germany is a much smaller country, so it's easier to build something like that. And the vast size of the States brought up very many different small groups of Modern Arnis. Yeah, but you gave it a shot, didn't you?
Yes, we did. I've been holding camps for 20 years. First 10 to 12 years was specific to IMAF Masters of Tappy Tappy. We had wonderful time, lots of training, multiple camps a year. Roughly 10 years ago, I started bringing in external instructors, still for the most part first generation students of the professor. And I would bring in one name at a time, or if a couple of people lived closer and they were able to drive, maybe I bring in two at a time. But with Professor's 20th anniversary of his passing coming in 2021, I said, you know, well, actually in 2020, I'm sorry. I said, you know, maybe I'll bring in 2, just to see what happens. And COVID canceled it. And the 2 were Dan and Bram, Dan Anderson, Bram Frank. So I immediately rebooked them for 2021, which now became the 20th anniversary of his passing. And the short of it is that just blossomed from 2, which was myself included 3. Between a couple of phone calls, it became 7. Unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions, Dieter was not able to attend. They lifted the restrictions a month after the camp. We were livid. What are you going to do? So we had 6, and something very interesting happened, and that is almost each of those people, including Datu Dieter, they each bring their own energy and their own blend or version of Modern Arnis. All but one had already been to Connecticut, to my camp, to teach, and it was very positive and very good. But when they all came at the same time, the synergy kicked in, and it just affected everyone at the camp. And I think there's one compliment that came out of that camp that I still remember. And this is somebody who was not only a personal student of the professor, but he was also a seminar host for the professor as well. And he said the tribute camp was very much the same energy and feeling that we used to have when professor was at the camps. So that told me we were doing it right. So the 2021 tribute camp was a wonderful success because of that. I immediately asked all the instructors to return. They said yes. I added Grandmaster Bambit Dulai, Tuhan Ray Dianaldo, and Hak Hakaim Hakakheim said absolutely, but then due to an international obligation date change, he had to back out. Totally understood, was an absolute gentleman, not a problem.
Kelly Warden was included as well, but due to his health situation, he does teach in Seattle and Tacoma, still being strong, but he doesn't travel anymore. So yeah.
And you know, to Kelly's credit, he said, you know, if I say yes now and my health gets in the way, I'm going to be upset later. So let's just get this over with and just say no now. And that's just typical Kelly, you know, straightforward, no nonsense. Got to respect it, you know. We zoomed him in last time along with Dieter and Bambit and Renee Thompson.
From the Philippines.
From the Philippines. And I might do a little more zooming this time too, just to kind of get them, you know, get them to show up, say hello for a minute and be a part of it. But the energy was wonderful. I added to the roster, and we're looking forward to, I've switched the name to Legacy because the tribute camp was kind of specific to Professor's 20th anniversary. The camp, everything from the logo, which is the part of the Filipino rising sun with the shield of arms, it's dedicated to the legacy of our teacher. It's not about myself or Dieter or Dan or Bram or Bruce or Roland. Oh, it was Roland Rivera too. I knew I was.
And Janet Alves.
And Janet Alves. Yes, there's 8 total. Janet is about an hour north of me. She was one of the first personal students of Professor in Connecticut back in 1981. And Roland has got decades in with the Professor as well. And he is just a naturally gifted individual who loves to stay under the radar. So I will be making it a point to brag about Roland throughout the Legacy camp because he just stays in the shadows. But
very humble.
Yeah, but what a gifted individual. But this is all about Professor's legacy. All of the grandmasters and of course 200, they can come in and sell their videos, their t-shirts, their knives. They can peddle their wares, but they've all committed to putting his legacy first and just celebrating our teacher. And how are we going to do that? We're going to train for 3 full days, Friday 9 a.m. until Sunday I think 5 p.m. 24 sessions, breaks in between lunch and dinner, and then we're going to do something different. Well, not different, but we're going to have a question and answer session Saturday right after dinner. How long will it last? I don't know. There'll be the 8 instructors plus what I hope are 2 future Legacy Camp instructors that will be joining us. And it'll be an hour, 2, 3. They can ask any questions they want of these individuals.
Finish when they run out of questions, right?
Yeah, right. You know, we may even ask some questions, you know, but I don't think you'll find this many first-generation veteran instructors of the Professor in one place at the same time. Although there's probably a couple of FMA camps that come close.
But it's not a matter of a race being the best or being the greatest.
No,
it's just a matter of
convenience.
Leaving the ego at the door.
Absolutely.
Come together, celebrate, train, have fun, not being this snippy about anything, which just will not happen. No. And just having fun training, and everybody's welcome, right? So there's not oh, we only take these or these people, you know. It's yeah, we just want to train, and whoever wants to train is very welcome. And everybody who's been to Brian's camp knows that that's the way he holds his camp.
That's the way to be.
Leave the ego at the door.
Yeah, that's
right?
It's that simple. If you've attended either, you know, my camps, this DAV camp, no attitudes, no nonsense. Granted, it was more internal. This is one group, over 140 strong. But it was just everyone wanted to train. And like I said, I mentioned before, even when there was something going on, a meeting or there was a Black Belt Masters, DAV Masters curriculum review, that took several hours. They were still out there training. It never stopped. Yeah. And that's why we're there. Yeah. You know, so same concept. The focus is on the training, on sharing. I've already gotten commitments from several other high-ranking individuals in Modern Arnis or veteran instructors within Modern Arnis. and they say, you know, I'm just coming to be a student at the legacy camp. So I don't usually say I'm jealous or envious, but I kind of want to be them sometimes. You know, I'll be busy running the camp, but it ran very smoothly last time. And Dieter's no stranger to camps. His first 2 FMA camps were 400 to 600 participants, which just blows my mind. That's stressful. And it takes, what, a year or 2 of prep work?
Yeah, 3 quarters in easy and 3 months really, really high intense. That's 2002 to 2004, with the more or less pre-big internet area. So
true, and you really hadn't had the luxury of the internet.
Yeah, no.
But we had a good turnout in 2021, and we're hoping for even more this year. We already know we're having groups coming in from Texas, Kansas City. Is it Kansas City, Kansas, or Missouri? I don't remember.
Kansas City is Missouri.
Missouri, Oregon, Chicago, Detroit, and several other cliques throughout the country. But
Germany.
Groups.
At least 2 of my students plan to attend.
Yeah, Marcus and Beatrice.
Yes.
Yeah. It's going to be just as special, and I'm hoping that this continues. And you know, people have all been asking for many years, what's the future of Modern Arnis look like? And I think it's safe to say, if you were to sit down, whatever people's definition is of the top tier, there will be no one single successor of Remy Amador Presas.
Never was, never will be.
No, and I really don't think anybody's trying.
No, not from that group at least.
No, not from that group. But I do think, you know, when Professor passed, that he was the whole hierarchy. That was it. And when he died, the hierarchy went with him. And I think if we just literally substitute the word hierarchy for unity, you know, Dieter's group, Dan Anderson has a school, Bram has his knives and he trains and sells.
Bruce Chu?
I'm sorry?
Bruce Chu?
Bruce Chu has his own group, he travels, I travel. Everybody has some different way of doing Modern Arnis and sharing his art. We can continue to do that and be pretty much completely independent.
Yep.
But why can't we get together every other year? And I stole that idea from Dieter because his summer camps are every other year, which is a nice pace.
And the Filipino Martial Arts FMA festivals as well, also every other year.
Yep. And ironically, the Legacy Camp is opposite the FMA. So you have a major event. The FMA is obviously in the Philippines, the Legacy Camp is in the States. So every calendar year you have a major event you can attend. And then, of course, the DAV camp, which is I should say that because they're in year 17, well, year 34 every other year. It just so happened the Legacy camp is the same year as DAV. But why can't we just come together and celebrate our teacher every other year? Gives you time to train. And if you show up and you really like Dieter's material, or Roland's or Bruce's or Dan's, it doesn't matter. Ask them to come do a seminar. No one's proprietary,
no.
You know, and you'll get to see, you'll have a minimum of 3 hours with each instructor. That's why I keep the number of instructors to about 7 or 8, because I don't want you to just get an hour or 2. I thought at least 3 would be appropriate. See what they have to offer and pick and choose, you know, and you have 2 years before they're going to come back. And I will probably do roughly a 25% rotation. Every Legacy camp, there will be roughly 2 different names, but I will always keep the number around 7 or 8. And there's another handful that you haven't, that have not taught here yet at the Legacy camp, but that's going to take me a few years to get through the list. But I also saw, and I won't name names, but I also saw at least 2 people this past week that I think would be a wonderful addition to the Legacy camp. But in due time, I will reach out and talk to Dieter. But I saw some really interesting things this week, and that's all good. I'm excited.
You haven't mentioned the date yet.
You're right. It's that would help.
A little
bit. September 29th through October 1st, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in Cromwell, Connecticut. My Facebook page, my personal one, and we have a World Modern Arnis Legacy Camp Facebook page. But any questions, you can reach out and get me via email or contact any of the instructors. Again, Dieter, Dan Anderson, Bram Frank, Bruce True, Janet Alves, Roland Rivera, and
Ray Gionaldo.
and Ray Dionaldo. They can all get a hold of me. I'm not on Instagram or Snapchat. I don't care to be, but reach out and I'll give you the details. We have a group right at the hotel.
Yeah.
And I thought the best thing to do, I try to keep things very simple. I'm offering a discounted rate no matter when you register, which the whole event is only $300 US. There's a 125 daily rate or one session, which is 3 or 4 hours. That is only 65. So I'm relying on numbers to help make this a successful camp, meaning number of people, not so much charging as much as I can per person. And more coming, and we're now only, what is this, 6 weeks away.
Yeah.
It's coming quick.
Mid of August now.
So this was a great way to kind of get warmed up and just see, even though we're here in Europe, there's so much talent and numbers here, which I've always known. I've like Dieter said, we've known each other 25 years. But coming in for a one-day seminar or a weekend event versus a full week and seeing the breadth and depth of how much interest there is in modern Arnis here throughout Europe is humbling. You know, it really is. How many different countries were at Camp 7? Hungary?
It was Hungary, it was Austria, it was Switzerland, it was France, it was Netherlands, it was Germany, USA, Israel. So out of my quick snap of my head, it's 8.
Switzerland?
Oh, I think I said that.
Okay.
But anyway, usually Czech Republic is there,
Yep.
and we do have quite a lot of representatives in Russia as well. At the moment, that's not possible, but they're also very nice people. And Italy might also come, and you know, it's, Denmark last time, and there are other countries that may also come, right? And now, when some people might have booked and cannot come to the Legacy Camp, but I'll be there 1 week early, so on the weekend before.
Dieter's coming a week early to the States, and he has a small tour
Yes.
planned. You start in the Pacific Northwest?
I start in Seattle, teaching in Berton Luber's dojo together with Dr. Kelly Warden. Saturday, 23rd.
This is a anytime,
Yeah.
well, you not only have 2 Datus with Kelly and Dieter, but they're also Lacan Sampu. Very unusual combination that they're in the same place at the same
The
time.
10th degree, like we are right now.
Well, yes.
Anyway,
but
yeah, it's September 23rd, and then I fly to
Texas.
to Dallas-Fort Worth, and we'll teach on Sunday, September 24th, in Roanoke, with Master Mark Lin. Then we drive to Kansas City to visit Jackie and Kevin Bradbury, and we'll teach on Tuesday evening, that's 26th. We teach a seminar in Kansas City, and on 27th we fly to Bradley and be there and teach at the camp, at the Legacy Camp. So that's a tour. So if anybody is around there, you know, you've heard the names, you know the names. If you're in the area, contact them. Yeah.
Dieter did not factor in the fact that he needs to sleep in the week leading up to the Legacy Camp. He showed me his itinerary, and I said, "You're crazy."
Yeah.
But he's driven, he's determined. He's been, how many seminars have you taught over the time you've trained?
More than 1,000 weekend seminars.
God.
In about 120 out of Germany, and up to now in 19 different countries.
So he's used to this, but with this many stops in 6 days, the blessing is when he's awake, it's going to be really fun. But the other thing this does is, one of the other reasons for the schedule at the Legacy Camp is he'll teach 3 hours, an hour a day for 3 days. Not only does he get a chance to bond with the other instructors, but it gives him a break from teaching as much as he did, but it gives him time to watch and absorb and be available, because one of the requirements I have asked of the instructors is simply be present for the event. When Dieter's teaching, we give him our attention. The instructors don't need to be on the floor, but they should be present. Yeah. So I jokingly said, if you survive your first 6 days of travel, you'll have a break at the legacy camp. You can just put you in a nice, comfortable chair after you teach and just chill out.
But if 6 or 7 of the instructors would cancel, I would teach 6,
Yeah,
7 hours a day, and
know,
no problems
I know.
there.
If somebody doesn't show up, there's going to be a free-for-all
We'll
in terms
have
of who's
enough
backfilling. So the captain in me is probably going to have to come out, but I've had several people say, hey, if you need extra time slots covered, I'm in. And, but you know, it's wonderful because they're motivated, they're enthusiastic, and that's what it's all about. You know, if any of you have ever attended a camp with Professor Praisas, you were psyched up. Yeah. You know, you're looking forward to it before, during, and after, and you're looking forward to the next one. And that means he was doing it right.
That's what's supposed to be.
Yeah, you know, and none of us really have his charisma, but collectively, when you see 6 or 7 or 8 of us at the same time, just getting together to train, you know, and a couple of folks, Dieter's making multiple stops before the legacy camp. Ray has already scheduled something up in Maine, which is several hours drive north.
He's on the road anyway.
He's
all the time.
Always on the move. It just so happens that Maine grabbed him. Dan and company in Maine are going to have Ray the day after the legacy camp. And some of the folks from Maine are coming down. So good stuff, good stuff. But Dieter's itinerary, his stops and seminars will be online. Any questions, get a hold of me or Mark Lynn. Kelly's busy, but Kelly's readily available. Belton Lubis from Bellevue, Washington is involved.
Yeah, and Kevin and Jackie Bradbury from Kansas City, Missouri.
From Protective Martial Arts, Protective Kindred Martial Arts. Yeah. So lots of opportunities to get a hold of who's coming in when and next. And, you know, that ties into the whole spirit of the legacy camp and what we've already been doing, in that if Dieter comes to the States, regardless of why, might be on vacation. And he actually was on vacation at one point, and the closest stop was Boston. I ran up to Boston. Actually, I did not run up to Boston. Larry Roca drove him down to me.
That was so nice.
And had to leave.
You brought me back.
I brought him back. And the classic Dieter situation, it's over, it's 10 p.m., and it was a 2-hour seminar, a mile from my house. I said, all right, we got to wrap this up. Dieter's like, what do you mean we got to wrap it up? I teach for 3 hours. Not today. I got to get you back to Boston. It's a 2-hour ride. And then I got to be on duty at dark 30. We got to get going. But I'm just getting to the good stuff. And then Kenny, I'll never forget, Kenny, oh, I can stay in lockup. So I put that on there as you're walking out. So needless to say, it was we finished at 11. I flew up to Boston.
It was so kind to bring me.
Dropped off Dieter. Maria came with me. And I'm not sure if she had to go on duty. No, she was retired by then, my God. I had to get back and go back on duty in the morning. But that's just our niece.
You survived the day?
We survived the day somehow, you know. And to this day, a couple of my students that attended, they picked up a couple of techniques, and they still remember they got them from Dieter at the late night weeknight camp.
Which is nice.
It was.
Which is very nice.
But we're coming off of just a truly wonderful week, and I'm not easily impressed. I was blessed to be with the professor and Professor Lowry for 20 years. I'm spoiled, you know. Taught at many camps, taught at many joint camps where there's multiple instructors, hosted camps. This one was really wonderful because not just of the size of the attendees, the number of attendees, but the facility, how well it was run. It was seamless. There were no issues. You know, breakfast started at 7:30, at least 7:30. People were there ready to go. Meals are always on time.
And good, and plenty, and a lot of
plenty. I'm like, geez, you know, foreign country, been here many times. I'm like, am I going home a little lighter? I'm not sure if I'm even the same weight. I may have gone up a little bit. And then another interesting thing, before the workouts started, and there was never more than 2 workouts in a row, we all met, and each instructor gave a quick little 1 or 2 line intro into what they were about to do and where, because we were all over the campus. And there's this one spot called Datu Mountain. It's a hill, maybe 10 feet up, overlooking the main soccer field, and there's a gazebo in there, and there's lots of shade.
Yeah.
And I get ready to step out in front of everybody for the first time, and Dieter says, you train anywhere you want, except the mountain.
Well, and students of mine, they then made a cardboard and wrote Datu Mountain on top of it. And I just thought it was hilarious. That was really nice. And just the venue, what would you say the sheer size of the venue is? So how many football fields?
Well, I only counted 2 full ones.
No, I mean, compared in American football, just...
Oh, it's a football field.
No. The whole area, I mean. The whole
the campus
venue, yeah.
Yeah, massive.
Perhaps 6, 7, 8 football fields large, or even larger, right?
It's hard to say because there's massive buildings. There's one building that has 4 tennis courts in it, side by side. The roof opens. That's how big this building is. And there's room on the sides, not just for the courts. You know, the swimming pool building had its own gymnasium next to it. The Puma cage, which was another large building.
Wrestling hall.
It's a small scale university campus. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Amazing. I mean, if you're on the wrong end of campus and you gotta go see somebody at the front office, bring a snack. You're gonna be a while. Yeah, but we're coming off an amazing week of training. Dieter has a short tour coming up leading up to the Legacy Camp. I plan on being home most of the time between now and Legacy. As soon as I get home, I will give an update and start opening the registration. Everything that I need to be brought in is on order, so things look like they're running very well. And then there's some satellite seminars to include Tuhanre. And then in early 2024, or late February, we have FMA 10, which has been deferred twice because of COVID. And this is on Philippine soil. Dieter's a little more familiar with the details, but it is another every other year event.
Yes.
First 2 were here in Germany. The FMA 3 was my first time in the Philippines with Dieter and Dan and Roland, 2006 in Tagaytay. Yeah. Each year they move it to someplace different. Mm-hmm. And true to form, it's 4 to 5 days of training with 1 day of sightseeing and basically a bonding time. Yeah. And you're either swimming with whale sharks or climbing tall volcano, which it was god-awful hot. I stayed back on that one. They really make it interesting that off day.
We swam in a lake smelling like sulfur with an active volcano underneath at about 27 degrees, which is 85?
80. 27 is 80.
80 degrees Fahrenheit. That was special.
Yeah. But tell them a little bit about FMA and
FMA 10 will happen from don't let me give me the wrong days.
March.
February 26th till March 1st. In Nasugbu, which is about 2 hours south of, or 2.5 hours bus drive south of Manila. Before the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Grandmaster Bambi Dulai will hold his Tabi Tabi gathering. Okay. So that would be an additional at least 2 days of training. There was also an FMA gala on Friday night in Manila. Mm-hmm. So if you fly into Manila on a Wednesday or Thursday, there's plenty to do and train already on that weekend in Manila. And on Monday, when you go for the camp from Rizal Park, usually the bus is organized by the camp. So they bring you to the campsite, to the venue, which is a 3-star hotel right at the shore. And we'll have lots of training with different masters in Modern Arnis, in Berlin Tawak, in Lightning Scientific, in Piketty Terja. It's going to be really great. It's the 7th camp that the Filipinos organized, mm-hmm. and they got better and better, and they were really, really nice. Good food, lots of fun, having friends. Many, many countries come from Australia, from Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, Europe, of course, America, Canada, Brazil, Arab countries, Israel. It's amazing, right? So, sort of people from everywhere. We're looking for 100 people, maybe 100 people come, perhaps more. and celebrate Filipino martial arts in the Philippines. It's when you book up till November 30th, I think it's $975. Included is that they get you from the airport to your selected hotel once you're in Manila. Hotel in Manila is on you, but the transportation up to they bring you back from the camp, everything is included except of alcoholic beverage and drinks that are not served during the meals. But the training and the meals, of course, and the accommodation is all included in that price. There is also FMA 10. You find it on Facebook, or contact Grandmaster Rennie Tongson or Jilalin Jadia, who's the FMA secretary there. It's a very well run camp. It's worthwhile. And once you're in the Philippines, you've got a little bit more time. It's so beautiful there. You can go to different islands. You can go to the mountains. You can go into caves to see the rice terraces, swim, as Brian said, with whale sharks in a certain spot in Cebu and Oslo, or lie at the beach. But there's so many things to do, and it's so nice. And the biggest advantage is that everywhere, even in the smallest village, they speak English. Which is totally different to Malaysia or Thailand or Indonesia. English is, together with Tagalog or Filipino, national language. So anywhere you go, it'll be easy to communicate with the people. And also, when you meet masters during the camp, if you're interested to learn more from them, meet up with them after the camp, learn more. That's easy. Just celebration of FMA, like the DFW summer camp, like the legacy camp, FMA 12, FMA 10 in the Philippines every second year is a place to go and you don't really have to be adventurous, not really, because it's not that you're alone in that country, but you'll be pampered. Do you say that? We take care of you.
Take care.
And the Filipinos are very, very hospitable and very friendly people, and they make all they can to make the stay as good as it can get for you.
Absolutely.
In the Philippines. So,
and I gotta say, aside from the logistics, there's something about training in Modern Arnis or any FMA on native soil. I can't describe it, but you treat yourself. If you've been training for any length of time and you are passionate about this, give yourself at least one opportunity to train with the native masters and grandmasters on native soil at least once. And I've got a funny feeling if you do it once, you're gonna go back again.
We have lots of people who come back and back and back and back.
Yeah.
And that sort of makes me proud, because in 2002 and 2004, I invented it, and me and my student or friend Alfred Platt, we two invented it and we organized it. And after the 2004 event, where we had 17 instructors from 4 continents with 600 participants, we thought there was so much work. We can't get any better, so we stopped it. And then we got the idea, maybe the Filipinos would like to take over. So they were happy to do that. So since 2006, seamless continuation, except of COVID, there were the Filipino FMA festivals, the World FMA festivals, as they call it now, there. And to see that something that sort of came out of this little head is now sort of a regular schedule for many people around the world because they like it. That's nice. That's really nice that the idea caught on, and it'll grow further. So that'll be good future for the camps if we work together, if we're tolerant to each other, if we don't try to put our nose up in the air, but stick to the ground and just be friends at the beginning, during, and at the end of the day, and do the same thing next morning. It's
that simple. We've been at this. It's now 22 years since we lost Professor. It's coming up August 28th. We're still going strong. We work together. We each do what we need to do, but we still support each other. Dieter and I were looking at the banner for 2024 FMA 10, and I said, geez, it's not going to cost that much. So he helped us clear up.
But legacy, not FMA 10.
No, the FMA 10 banner.
Oh, okay.
That I immediately sent away for, and I will be flying an FMA 10 banner at the legacy camp.
Yeah.
But Dieter is the digital wizard. I'm kind of digital handicapped. But
well, we cleared up your logo as well.
We cleared that up too, yeah. Wait till you see the banner for the Legacy Camp. I thought I had it down pretty good, but he made it even better. But we're going to fly the FMA 10 banner at the Legacy Camp because that's back to the unity of our teacher.
Yeah.
You know, we're not trying to tell each other what to do, but we can help each other along the way.
Yeah, and it was his dream to bring Modern Arnis back to the Philippines. That's why he founded the IMFP in the Philippines in 1999. He went back there, and he had a long stay, and he trained with especially with Grandmaster Bambi Dulai. He was his main and made Grandmaster Bambi Dulai the chief instructor of Modern Arnis Philippines, which he's up to now. So we sort of fulfilling his dream, like going back there and also training there, right?
We, if you knew the professor, he wanted Modern Arnis to be the martial art of the world. And here we have the States, we have Europe and the Philippines working together and have been working together
for decades,
for many years, many, and it could be measured in decades now. Yeah. So all good.
It would be great if we see you either at the Legacy Camp or at FMA 10 or at another DFW summer camp or at any other normal standards weekend seminar that either of us teaches. Just reach out to us, and if you want to organize a camp or a seminar, you know, reach out and we talk about the possibilities and so on and so forth. So that rounds that up.
I think so. I think we covered everything.
Thanks for the talk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure.
Always.
And
always. And I see you in 6 weeks.
Whoa. Again.
Again.
Just another continent.
That's it. 6,000 miles.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah. And in 2025, we'll see each other in the Philippines.
Wait a minute. That's another video. That'll be part 2.
I didn't say 23. I gave
said
him
5.
That. I said 25.
Yeah, sure, 25.
I gave you that 25.
25.
I didn't say 23. You convinced me that that will not be possible. But 25, no, 23 is off the topic. 25, probably. We'll see.
We'll see.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for the talk. Bye.
Bye now.